She never expected Can Yaman to call her again, after all this time. The late evening air in Istanbul was unusually still. From her apartment window, Demet Özdemir could see the soft golden lights of the Bosphorus glimmering like fireflies dancing on water. Everything seemed peaceful, almost frozen in time, except for her heart. She sat on the edge of her couch, holding her phone like it was a foreign object, her fingers trembling slightly. The name that had just appeared on the screen was not one she had seen in years. And yet, there it was, impossible to misread. Can Yaman. It wasn't a message. It wasn't an Instagram like, a forwarded article, or even a muted story view. It was a call. A real call. And it rang for exactly 8 seconds before stopping. She didn't answer. She couldn't. For a moment, she questioned if she had imagined it, perhaps a glitch, a trick of the mind brought on by a long day. But no, the call log confirmed it. Time, date, number. All real. Demet slowly placed the phone down on the table in front of her. Her heartbeat was racing now, faster than she ever remembered. It had been 4 years and 11 months since she'd last spoken to him. She had counted. She always counted. So why now? She stared at the screen like it held some secret she hadn't yet deciphered. Her thoughts raced with everything unsaid, everything unresolved. The media had speculated for years, scandals, affairs, career conflicts, jealousy, but none of them truly knew what happened the night they ended things. But Demet did. And now, he was calling her? They met in the most unexpected way, on a cold January morning on the set of a romantic comedy neither of them believed in. She was a rising star, charming and graceful, still carrying the softness of her small-town roots. He was magnetic, larger than life, already being followed by paparazzi wherever he went. Their first scene together was awkward. Demet had stumbled on her line, and Can, annoyed but trying not to show it, had muttered something under his breath. She heard it. She fired back. Sparks flew, not the romantic kind, at least not yet. But something had shifted that day. Over the weeks, their on-screen chemistry turned into something raw and undeniable behind the scenes. Whispers spread among the crew. Glances lingered a little too long. Smiles grew softer, touches warmer. By the time tabloids caught on, their hearts had already written a story far deeper than any script could hold. They were fire and air, passionate, explosive, inseparable. Until they weren't. Demet walked over to her kitchen, pouring herself a glass of water she didn't drink. She leaned against the counter, her mind a swirling storm. Why would Can call her now? After everything they went through, after everything he said? Their breakup had not been gentle. Words had been thrown like daggers, some of which she never fully recovered from. And yet, some nights, she still dreamt of him. Of their late-night drives through Istanbul, the way his hand fit perfectly in hers, how he whispered her name like a secret only he could keep. Her therapist had told her it was normal. That deep bonds didn't dissolve just because the relationship ended. But she had trained herself to stop hoping, to stop wondering what if. And now here he was again, disturbing the fragile peace she had finally built. The second call came 3 hours later. She was brushing her hair when her phone buzzed again. Same name. Same number. This time, she froze. Her instinct screamed at her to ignore it. But her heart was no longer obeying logic. She answered. Hello? Her voice was barely above a whisper. There was a moment of silence, too long, too heavy. And then, Demet, it's me. She knew the voice instantly. It was deeper now, slightly rougher, but still laced with that familiar calmness that had once made her feel like she could breathe underwater. I know it's you, she said. She kept her tone neutral, but her hands were trembling. Why are you calling me? I didn't think you'd answer, Can replied. He paused. I didn't even think I had the right to call. You don't, she shot back, a little sharper than intended. But here we are. I've been thinking about you, he said, slowly, as if choosing each word with caution. For a long time. Demet closed her eyes, 1,000 thoughts crashing through her like a tidal wave. Don't fall for it, she told herself. Don't let your guard down. Why now, Can? She asked, her voice quieter. What do you want from me? There was a pause on the other end. And then, I don't know. Maybe just a conversation. Maybe closure. Or maybe, just to hear your voice again. His vulnerability caught her off guard. The Ken she remembered was always in control, bold, arrogant, charming beyond reason. But this? This was something else. And against every defense she had built around her heart, she whispered, then talk. It hadn't started like a fairy tale. If anything, their first interaction had been more like a cold splash of water than a romantic spark. Demet still remembered her first day on the set of her Kensi Kuss. Nervous, overwhelmed, and slightly intimidated. Can, her co-star, was already a rising star. Confident. Intense. Their first scene was a disaster. She messed up. He snapped. She snapped back. But behind the tension, something lit up. Within weeks, that friction turned to fire. They were laughing between takes. Sharing secrets. Long walks after night shoots. First smiles, then touches, then something deeper. And when the cameras weren't rolling, they were more real than anything they'd ever played. They hid it from the world. But not from each other. And when the truth eventually leaked, it didn't matter. Their love was too big to be boxed in. But fame has a way of creeping in like fog. It blurs. It complicates. And soon, the pressures mounted. Ken was dreaming bigger, reaching further. Europe, endorsements, international fame. Demet wanted something simpler. She wanted real. Misunderstandings grew. Trust was tested. And one night, after one argument too many, she walked out. He didn't follow. He left for Rome the next day. And that was it. For a long time, silence was the only thing they shared. Demet dove into her work. Film after film. City after city. Always smiling, always shining. But inside, something stayed dim. She tried dating. She tried forgetting. But late at night, when the world went quiet, she still remembered the way he whispered her name. Can, on the other hand, conquered Europe. Italy welcomed him like royalty. He was everywhere, TV, magazines, red carpets. But no matter how many lights flashed, none of them lit up what he'd buried inside. He tried moving on. But every laugh felt rehearsed. Every kiss felt wrong. Every face wasn't hers. He saw her face sometimes, on posters, in interviews. Her success didn't surprise him. She was always destined for greatness. But seeing her still hurt. Because he wasn't part of her story anymore. They almost ran into each other 3 times. At Cannes. At a gala. In Paris. But the universe kept them just apart, close enough to ache, far enough to miss. And then one night, after too many what-ifs, he called. When she asked him, why now? He said. Because I couldn't lie to myself anymore. I told myself I moved on. I pretended I forgot your voice, your laugh, even the way you used to write little notes on my scripts. But I never did. Every woman I met after you made me realize what I lost. And I guess I was afraid to know if it was too late. Demet's eyes welled. It was too late for so long, she said softly. And still, a part of me waited for you. Silently. Stupidly. A week later, they met in person. No drama. No stage. Just a quiet walk through Bebeck Park. They talked for hours. About the pain. The silence. The stupid decisions. They cried. They laughed. They remembered who they once were. They didn't get back together. Not that day. There was no grand ending. No promises. Just two souls, standing in the ashes of what was, finally saying everything they never had the courage to. Demet smiled before walking away. Maybe we weren't meant to last back then. But maybe we were meant to remember. And Can, standing still, whispered back, "You'll always be the part of my life that mattered the most," before I knew how to protect something that mattered. Months later, they were seen together at a charity event. Side by side. Smiling. Not as lovers. But as two people who had finally found peace. The media speculated. The fans dreamed. But the truth was simpler. She never expected him to call. But when he did, it didn't change the past. It gave them something even more powerful. Closure. Peace. And the strength to move forward, separately, but no longer broken. Because sometimes love doesn't come back to stay. Sometimes, it comes back. Just to say goodbye the right way.